See, it is good to note that we have 58 minority communities in our country, and they are all represented here today. Your Excellency, from the coastal region to the Turkana side, to the northern side, to the western side of this country, to the central part of this country, all minorities are here today to celebrate this day. Mjipigie makofi. Your Excellency, Head of Public Service, through your office, we appreciate the fact that the minorities have a directorate under your office, which is a first-time thing. It shows the fact that we're taking this very seriously as a government, and we will support however we can. Our minorities are part and parcel of us. We are not leaving anybody behind. That is the Kenya Kwanza regime.
Zimeandikwa sheria nyingi. Yametangazwa na Umoja wa Mataifa matakwa ya watu walio wachache katika jamii kutoka mwaka wa 1992. Katiba yetu ya Kenya imeyaorodhesha yote ya kuwahusu watu walio wachache katika jamii yetu ya Kenya. Lakini yote yalikuwa maandiko tu yakawekwa katika maktaba. Yalihitaji mtu mmoja tu kuyatoa na kuyatekeleza. Si mwingine alianzisha safari, ni Daktari William Samoei Ruto, ambaye ni rais wetu wa Jamhuri yetu ya Kenya. Tumpe makofi na kongole. Kwa hivyo nataka kusema ya kwamba tuko hapa kwa ajili yenu na kwa ajili ya azma aliyoko nayo rais wetu wa Jamhuri yetu ya Kenya kuitimiza yale yote yaliyoandikwa katika katiba yetu kuhusu sisi ambao ni wachache katika jamii. Welcome to Bomas of Kenya, a befitting space celebrating minorities in our country, because here we preserve, celebrate, and promote the rich tapestry of Kenya's cultural heritage. Secondly, I must pay special tribute to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for creating a Directorate of Minorities at the Office of the President, for it proves how serious he takes the rights of the minorities. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks an important milestone in our country as we celebrate the first International Day of the Minorities. As a ministry in charge of gender, culture, the arts, and heritage, we remain committed to supporting our minorities through targeted interventions, such as our work through Ushanga Initiative, which is focused on economic empowerment of women from pastoralist communities, some of whom are from ethnic minorities. For example, Ushanga Kenya Initiative is working in partnership with National Museum of Kenya to train communities in beadwork. Additionally, every year, the ministry through the State Department of Culture, the Arts and Heritage, in partnership with the county government, celebrates Kenya Musical and Cultural Festival, which this year took place in Makueni County. The festival provides an opportunity to celebrate our cultural diversity and is as inclusive as possible. Furthermore, in the ongoing Indigenous Knowledge Documentation and Digitization Project, the National Museum of Kenya has signed prior informed consent with a number of ethnic minorities to protect their intellectual property rights associated with their indigenous knowledge. This guards against exploitation of their traditional knowledge, and any benefit occurring from the use of such knowledge will benefit the communities. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate this day, we need to look at ways of entrenching the protection of minorities through legislation and other targeted affirmative actions to ensure long-term sustainable inclusion of minorities in our public affairs, thus promoting inclusivity and fairness to all.
Let me begin by welcoming you to this historic event, where Kenya is for the first time celebrating the United Nations Minority Rights Day, since the United Nations in 1992 adopted the Declaration on Rights of Persons belonging to national or ethnic, religious, and linguistic minorities. I recognize and appreciate that you have come in your numbers from some of the remotest corners of this country, and I thank you for honoring our invitation to this celebration. This is a clear demonstration of your determination for the continued social and economic transformation of your communities. You are all part of a very special and more momentous occasion. As you are aware, His Excellency the President, upon assuming office, made a solemn vow to uphold the Constitution and run the affairs of the state in line with the rule of law. It is in furtherance of this commitment that my office, as the administrative head of the Executive Office of the President, spearheaded the organization of the celebrations we are having today. Your presence here is a demonstration of the government's commitment to protect and promote the fundamental rights and freedoms enshrined in Chapter 4 on the Bill of Rights, and to guarantee their enjoyment without discrimination or hindrance. Further, these celebrations recognize that due to historical, political, administrative, and social acts of commission or omission, some communities, mostly represented here, have remained marginalized and alienated in terms of access to resources and participation in national decision-making and development. It is a recognized fact that no country can attain full economic, social, and political development if part of its population remains marginalized and unengaged. This is a situation the government is committed to correct through all the necessary legal, policy, administrative, and institutional mechanisms in order to ensure that the country taps into the potential of every individual and community as we strive to build a strong, stable United Nations. We therefore request our friends, development partners, private sector, and all people of goodwill to partner with the government of Kenya to support the mainstreaming of marginalized and minority affairs by providing resources and technical assistance so that also the marginalized and the minorities are taken care of. An important step to begin this transformational journey is by recognizing, packaging, and celebrating the knowledge, practice, art, and way of life of the minority and marginalized communities in this country. The celebrations, therefore, give you a unique opportunity to showcase to the rest of the country the richness of your culture and heritage through song, dance, cuisine, attire, values, and principles that have so remarkably contributed to defining Kenya's collective identity. Your dedication to cultural preservation have been pivotal in promoting tourism, environmental conservation, balanced human-wildlife cohabitation, and traditional nature-based medicine and health. So I encourage you to proudly and boldly spotlight your unique achievements, opportunities, challenges, and demonstrate to the world that you possess the necessary resilience to be impactful players, not only in national affairs, but also in global affairs. You have much to contribute to the challenges facing the world, especially in such areas as climate mitigation, peace, security, national values and principles, and the preservation way of African way of life. The government is fully committed to your empowerment and active participation in nation building and global affairs. In this respect, we will ensure that these celebrations become an annual event.
Wakenya hoye! Wakenya hoye! Sijasikia. Wakenya hoye! Asante sana. Wasifikiri nyinyi ni minorities. Nataka sauti itoke ya kutosha. Wale wengine wajue muko, si ndio? Wakenya hoye! Asante sana. Leo ile hotuba nitasoma si ya Mudavadi, ni hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Ametutuma hapa sisi sote ili tushiriki na nyinyi na tutoe ujumbe wake. Angependelea sana kukuja hapa, lakini mambo ya kitaifa ni mengi, na ametutuma mutasikiza, na mimi najua kwa sababu ni hotuba yake, yale yako kule ndani ni yale mwenyewe ameamua. Wakati Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya alikuwa kwa harakati za campaign, tulipanga na viongozi wa minorities na tukakuwa na sherehe kubwa kule Baringo, na Mheshimiwa Rais wakati ule, ingawa alikuwa kwa harakati za campaign, akakuja pale kama mgeni wa heshima kudhibitisha kwamba yeye atasimama na nyinyi, na hatimaye kwa manifesto yake ya Kenya Kwanza akaweka programu yake ya minorities kule ndani. Good afternoon. On 18th December 1992, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Persons belonging to national or ethnic, religious, and linguistic minorities to protect and promote minority rights. This day has been marked internationally for the last 30 years. Yet it is only today that Kenya is joining the community of nations to officially mark this significant day. It therefore gives me much joy and delight to join you on this inaugural and auspicious celebration of the International Minority Rights Day. I extend my high regards to all of us who have joined in from the length and breadth of our great country, and commend you for your commitment to the cause of minorities and marginalized communities. I am also happy to have toured the various exhibitions showcasing the rich and diverse cultural heritage of our minority and marginalized communities. I have had the unique opportunity to rehash the reasons behind our national clarion call of shared prosperity and why our collective consciousness underscores the concept of unity in diversity as a key pillar of our national unity. It is indeed befitting that this year's theme is recognizing, empowering, and protecting the rights of minorities and the marginalized. This theme will keep us talking about and addressing the challenges, aspirations, and the realities around our ethnic minorities and marginalized communities, and prepare us for the journey that we must walk in order to achieve these aspirations. The preamble to our Constitution espouses our pride in our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity and recognizes the aspiration of all Kenyans for a government based on the essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law. These values must be extended to ethnic minorities and marginalized communities, and no less. Ladies and gentlemen, it is difficult to discuss minority and marginalized rights without broaching the subject that is land and land rights. Over the years, minority and marginalized communities have clamored for land and land rights. They are some of the most affected by what our Constitution terms as present and historical land injustices. Many cases have ended up in both local and international courts. I direct the Ministry of Lands to work closely with the National Land Commission to comprehensively address these concerns as guided by Articles 60, 63, and 67 of the Constitution. In the same breath, if there is any particular group of people that often bear the brunt of the adverse effects of the climate change phenomena, it is this special interest group. By virtue of their distinct geographical placement, these communities have for years now been the faces of drought and floods. As a result, many in these communities remained mired in hunger, disease, and the unending cycle of poverty. It is about time that we turn the tide, and I am happy to report that Kenya is taking the lead, especially in Africa, in confronting this climate change menace. To mitigate the effects of climate change, exemplified by the ongoing torrents of rain pounding different parts of the country, more so areas inhabited by the minority and marginalized communities, my administration is working with county governments to ensure we lessen the suffering of our people. Many a times, the problems facing minority and marginalized communities are compounded by rampant insecurity, characterized by incessant cattle rustling and runaway banditry. Earlier this year, we served notice on these domestic terrorists, warning them that it is about time they ditched their evil and barbaric ways. I swore to protect the life and livelihood of every Kenyan, and I have no intention of breaking that vow. As we speak today, the guns in the North Rift and other banditry-prone areas of our nation have largely been silenced. I urge our security forces not to relent in this pursuit of peace and tranquility in all parts of our country. We are also working round the clock to ensure that plans by foreign terrorists that threaten citizens in our frontier counties are thwarted and foiled. Our intelligence service remains alert and laser-focused at all times. Not even an inch of Kenya shall be surrendered to criminal elements. In the plan, we pledge to strengthen devolution by completing the transfer of all functions constitutionally earmarked to counties, improving county governments' capacity to generate their own income, and ensuring that shareable revenue is transferred to counties in a timely and predictable manner. By strengthening devolution, we give fresh impetus to our aspirations of ensuring that every part of Kenya, including the historically marginalized counties, feel the presence of not only power but resources. I am happy to note that devolution is now stronger than ever, and we shall work even harder to uphold its objects. At this juncture, let me urge our county governments to adhere to the principles of inclusion and integration of minorities and marginalized groups set out in Section 97 of the County Governments Act. These principles should be at the front and center of governance in our counties. The success witnessed in the organization of this event today is another first in the war against discrimination, exclusion, and marginalization in Kenya. As a consequence of these celebrations, we shall kick off an intense discourse as we continue to hear from the people and the associations working at the grassroots in order to ensure that everyone in Kenya enjoys equal rights and opportunities. Fellow countrymen and women, the event will continue to promote a shared understanding of the constitutional values that underpin the nation's commitment to inclusivity, fostering a sense of duty and responsibility among citizens. We must, therefore, unite among all public institutions in both national and county governments, with various partners in the corporate world, trade unions, non-governmental bodies, civil society, and international partners to continue the conversation aimed at advancing the welfare of minorities and the marginalized. It is for this reason that I undertake to establish a task force that will undertake a comprehensive review of all government policies, programs, actions, and omissions, both present and past, advise on how they have affected the minority and marginalized communities, and recommend appropriate steps aimed at prospering, promoting, and protecting them. It is expected that this task force shall come up with various recommendations, including the policy, legal, and institutional frameworks necessary to drive the affirmative action programs targeted at promoting and protecting the rights of minorities and marginalized communities. These recommendations shall form the cornerstone of the delivery of Kenya Kwanza's commitment to legislate an affirmative action framework to implement Article 56 of the Constitution, just like the young girl said. Indeed, we meant it when we spoke about building a Kenya ya usawa, where every citizen will feel that they belong. I am pleased henceforth to announce that the marking of the International Minority Rights Day shall, from now onwards, be an annual event. It will be an occasion to critically think about our successes, shortcomings, to cherish our diversity, and how different backgrounds contribute to our national unity, because out of many, we are one.